Namaskar दोस्तों, welcome to channel Toxicology on board. Today in this video we'll be discussing another important topic, that is TCTD, that is also known as Agent Orange or 2378 tetrachlorodibenzo paradioxin. Okay, so this question is taken from ABT recertification year 2000. Okay, so question is 2378 tetrachlorodibenzo paradioxin, that is TCTD, has been found as a contaminant in 2,4,5-T, is extremely toxic to some animal species. TCDD is teratogenic and carcinogenic. TCDD induces microsomal enzymes. The right answer will be in the green text. That is all the four statements. Which is TCDD as a contaminant in 2,4,5-T production, toxic to some of the animal species, particularly guinea pig. LD50 will be in microgram per dose, and this TCDD is teratogenic as well as cancer causing agent and induces microsomal enzymes. Okay, so we'll see another, those who are preparing for the exam, you can also read you can find the DABT flashcards are available. So in that also this particular question, topic was given. 2378 tetradichloro dibenzo paradioxin was a contaminant of concern in which 1970 herbicide. So the right answer will be Agent Orange. So TCTD is also known as Agent Orange. Why it is called Agent Orange, we'll see in the next slide. Okay, so it is used as a herbicide in order to kill the plants, particularly in a very simple way. If I explain, Agent Orange was used as a herbicide in the case of Vietnam War, where the a lot of guerrilla war was taking place because of this Vietnamese who were opposing American soldiers. So they were doing ambush war by hiding themselves in the bushes. So at that time, these American soldiers, they were using this herbicide Agent Orange in order to kill the weeds, so that the Vietnamese soldiers will be exposed to the American soldiers. In that way, they can kill the Vietnamese soldiers. Okay, so that is a little bit background about Agent Orange, why it is called. So some important notes will read uh, with respect to TCDD from cassette and dose summary. So it is a pesticide. It belongs to a chemical class of group called chlorophenoxy compounds. Examples of this class are 2,4-D, 2,4,5-T, and MCPA. MCPA is nothing but 2-methyl 4-chlorophenoxy acetic acid. This TCDD, no, it will mimic the action of auxin, which are nothing but your plant growth hormones. TCDD contaminant in the preparation, especially 2,4,5-T. TCDD is very extremely toxic. Guinea pig is very susceptible. As I told you, no, LD50 is zero point 0.6 microgram per kg, and it is a potent liver carcinogen. Either also you have seen in the option. And TCDD is a contaminant of process using chlorophenols, that is beta-chlorophenol, hexachlorophene, such as pulp bleaching, burning of organochlorine compounds. That's why your first option, it is used as a contaminant in the case of 2,4,5-T production. Chloracne is commonly associated with human TCTD exposure. So how the chloracne, that also we'll see. So these are the children which were born to the parents who were exposed to this Agent Orange during Vietnam War. Okay, even first generation, second generation also, today also, that is what we are seeing. A prenatal dioxin exposure is taking place, because of which there is a abnormality. Child neurodevelopment is there. Okay, and here you can see that it is also having teratogenic effects. Okay, so we'll read about some more questions which are taken from ABT recertification 2001. Which of the following statement is not true about 2378 tetrachlorobenzo paradioxin, TCDD? TCDD is an unwanted byproduct of the synthesis of a trichlorophenol. TCDD has been shown to be teratogenic in experimental animals. This is correct. TCD is rapidly metabolized and excreted by mammals. This is wrong. Okay, metabolism is not rapidly in the case of mammals. TCD is a potent inducer of aryl hydrocarbon hydroxylate activity. That's why it is a liver potent liver carcinogen. So right answer will be in the green text. So TCDD, it is not metabolized or excreted by mammals, but rest of the statements, that is unwanted byproduct in the synthesis of trichlorophenol, shown to be teratogenic in experimental animals, potent inducer of aryl hydrocarbon hydroxylase activity. All these statements are true with respect to TCDD. Okay. So we'll also see next important questions which are taken from ABT recertification only 2001. So which of the following is or chloracne producing chemicals? We need to identify the following list from the options. We need to identify which of the following chemicals will cause chloracne. So first option is 1, 2, 4, 5 tetrachloro chlorobenzene. Option 2 is 2378 tetrachloro-dibenzopyridioxine. Option 3 is dinitro-orthocresol. Option 4 is polychloro-biphenyl. The right answer will be in the green text, that is option 2 as well as option 4. 2378 tetrachloro-dibenzopyridioxine and polychloro-biphenyl. Okay, so we'll see some of the other questions which are taken from ABT recertification 2006 only with respect to dermal application of the chemicals. So here we need to identify all of the following are true regarding dermal application of the chemicals except. So we need to identify which of the following statements are true except for the one statement. Absorption is limited primarily by stratum corneum. So if you look into the typical layers of the skin, stratum corneum act as a rate limiting step for the absorption of the chemicals through skin. So it is absorption is limited primarily by stratum corneum. That is right. So here you can pause the video and see what are the different layers are there: epidermis, dermis, hypodermis, and within this epidermis also you have different stratum layers are there. Pause the video. Try to remember this particular layers. Hair follicles and other gaps in the epidermis have a minor role in absorption. So the right answer is this one. Except this one, all rest of the statements are true. Molecular weight and partition coefficient of the compound affect the rate of absorption. This is very, very important. Lipophilicity, molecular weight, smaller the size of the particle, greater the absorption. So these are important, including partition coefficient. Diffusion through lower layers of stratum granulosum. Here you can stop and see this one. Depends on the blood flow and interstitial fluid movement. So you see here where the blood vessels they end up into which particular layer. From that you can understand. So this also the right statement. Diffusion through lower layers of stratum granulosum depends on the blood flow and interstitial fluid movement. The last option is absorption of highly lipophilic compounds such as TCDD. So from our topic is with today's video topic is about TCDD. So this last option is important. Absorption of highly lipophilic compounds such as TCDD. So TCDD is highly lipophilic through the skin is limited by the relative insolubility in the phospholipid layer. So because of the lipophilic nature, this is insolubility in this phospholipid layer, phospholipid bilayer. So you can pause here. This is the explanation which was given by the previous student. So I will only read the first statement. Under ordinary condition, absorption through epidermal appendages is generally neglected despite the ability of chemicals to bypass the stratum corneum by this route because the combined appendage surface area is such a small fraction of the total available for the uptake. However, because loading of stratum corneum is slow, penetration through appendages can constitute an appreciable fraction of the total for short exposure. In some cases, the effect of appendages can be even dominant. For instance, if you look into benzoalpha-pyridine, so you will be getting this benzoalpha-pyridine in your exam. This example penetrates the skin of the haired mice several folds faster than the hairless brain. Okay, that is the reason we are discussing about hair. Um, Hair follicles and other gaps in the epidermis have a minor role in absorption. So how they are having a role in absorption, that explanation is given here. Then next we'll discuss about different types of agent. Apart from Agent Orange, during the Vietnam War, there are other herbicides which were used like Agent Green, Pink, Purple, Blue, and White based on the chemical. But in the case of Agent Orange, it was TCDD. So here you can see typically a soldier how he is spraying the in the Vietnam jungle in order to kill the plants, weedicides, uh, plants. Which of the following is not caused by toxic nerve gas? So we need to identify bronchoconstriction, mental confusion, increased salivation, bradycardia. All these four effects are caused by toxic nerve gas. For example, sarin is there, but chloracne is caused by TCDD. This is the thing you have to remember with respect to exam. Next, which of the following does not undergo biotransformation to a toxic metabolite? So you have seen the metabolism here is less in the case of Pavas. So TCDD is the right answer. But if you look into acetaminophen, which forms a toxic for amino benzopyroquinone, aminoquinone, chloroform, hexane, ethylene glycol, all these things they will form a toxic metabolite except for TCDD. Okay. Next question is also taken from ABT recertification question papers only. These are taken from year 2007. Which of the following is not correct regarding exposure to Agent Orange containing TCDD? Um, TCDD may produce ventricular fibrillation and death in dogs after massive doses. This is the right answer. Is metabolized to 2,4-D and excreted in the urine of most mammals. The metabolism in mammal is lesser, so this is not the right answer. TCDD has no significant cumulative toxicity. Right? TCDD is highly but reversible bound to plasma protein. TCDD is selective hormone type weed killer. That's why it is auxin, plant hormone auxin. So pause here. Lot of information we are discussing in this video with respect to TCDD. All the important points from the previous question papers we are discussing. So make notes if possible. Then next we'll discuss about little bit about chloracne only, which is caused by TCDD. Which of the following are causal agents of chloracne? So chloracne, we have DDT, option A. Option B, we have HCB, that is 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. 2,4-D and TCDD, TCDD and polychlorinated biphenyls, and PCBs and chloronitrobenzene. The right answer will be in the green text, that is TCDD and polychlorinated biphenyls. Okay. So one in particular instance you can take remember is this is one of the politician from the Ukraine. So this particular politician, no, his name is Victor. He was poisoned with dioxin. Here you can clearly see the difference between dioxin exposure, before dioxin exposure, that is on when his face was here it is given June 30, 2004. After dioxin exposure, you can see there is a dramatic, significant change in his face. Here you can see excessive skin oiliness leading to whiteheads, blackheads, cyst. Skin may thicken, flake, peel, and scar. Okay, this is on November 1. Within from June to November 1, you can see the drastic skin change in the skin after dioxin exposure. This is the he was poisoned with dioxin. This particular Ukraine opposition leader. Okay, you can go back and read about this news also. And here you can see a typical person, a child during this Vietnam War, whose parents were exposed, but their child, the pregnant women who were exposed to this particular agent orange during Vietnam War, their child ended up without eyes. So like that you can see there is a first generation or second generation type of toxicity also you can see here with exposure to dioxin. Which of the following is not a known skin sensitizer? TCDD. TCDD causes chloracne, but it is not a skin sensitizer. Okay. Then next question is in the major air pollution catastrophe that occurred in Italy 1976. So you have to read something about Sivosa disaster also. The toxicant of greatest concern was that is 1278 tetrachlorodibenzo paradioxine. So TCDD is the one which was seen in the case of Sivosa disaster. So a few of the questions till now we have discussed all the questions from the American Board of Toxicology recertification question papers from the year 2000. Some questions were taken from 2007. Now we'll discussing some questions with respect to AACT, that is American Academy of Chemical Sciences. Some in my videos I'll be discussing some questions from AACT also, because the DABT exam is set up by the American scientists. So there is a possibility some questions, similar topics might be there from the American Academy of Chemical Sciences. So these are taken from the question of the day. So what is chloracne? So you have to read about chloracne. So the chloracne is nothing but here you can see in the picture, persistent eruption of comedones and epidermal cyst, typically around the eyes, malar area of the face, behind the ears you can see, and on the scrotum in the case of males. Okay, chloracne has been associated with the substantial exposure to chlorinated hydrocarbon compounds such as 2,3,7,8 tetrachlorodibenzo, paradioxine, and others. Okay, same class of chemicals. Okay, next, what was the so-called Sivosa disaster? So something we'll read about Sivosa disaster. So in the Italy, there is a place called Sivosa. There was a manufacturing plant. They were synthesizing one of the chemical, that is trichlorophene phenol production was taking place. There was some disaster took place. some accident, some leakage was there, because of which this byproduct dioxin was formed, and it was released into the in the particular Sivosa city. So let's see what is that. The Sivosa Italy disaster resulted in TCDD, that is 2378 tetrachlorodibenzoparadioxin exposure to a wide population in and around Sivosa, Italy on July 10, 1976. The environmental disaster took place in the trichlorophenol production department of a chemical plant located near the town of Sivosa, approximately 25 kilometers north of Milan, when a chemical cloud containing several kilograms of TCDD was released into the atmosphere. Okay, so here one more question with respect to Sivosa disaster only. An industrial accident occurred in the town of Sivosa, Italy in 1976 and exposed a large population to a substantial amount of what toxicant? The right answer is TCDD or dioxin, released as a result of infamous accident at Sivosa, Italy in 1976. So whenever there is such an exposure, such an industrial hazard takes place, no, that particular area will be divided into zones, zone A, zone B, zone C, based on the amount of chemical that is exposed. So in case of zone A, which is highly contaminated, immediate exposure area which comes in vicinity of that particular disaster, so that particular area will be completely vacated. So like that, here you can pause video and see the amount of TCDD is there based on each which region. So similarly, if there is a nuclear radiation hazard or any type of hazardous disaster takes place, you have to isolate that particular area and divide into, based on the exposure, amount of chemical exposure, you have to divide the zones A, B, C, like that. Okay. So next is another question with respect to Agent Orange only. Agent Orange is best known of the defoliation used in Vietnam and was named for the orange strips used as identified on the barrel. So why it is called Agent Orange is, in this particular barrel that particular herbicide was stored. So based on the chemical composition, each was given a typical color. So Agent Orange, here you can pause the video and see 24D, that is and plus 245T, the contaminant which is there, no, which was given the name Agent Orange. So we'll read about this one. So was named for orange stripes used as identifiers on barrels used to store the compound. What other herbicide preparations were used as defoliants in the Vietnam? From 1962 through 1965, small quantities of Agent Purple, also a combination of 24D and 245T, Agent Pink, that is 245T, Agent Green 245T, Agent Blue cacodylic acid, were sprayed over forested area in Vietnam. From 1965 through 1970, over 11 million gallons of Agent Orange, that is 24D and 245T, were sprayed along the lesser quantities of Agent White, that is 245T and Picloram, and Agent Blue. From 1970 through 1971, only Agent White and Agent Blue were used for deforestation. Operation Ranch Hand was the name given to the unit responsible for conducting spraying activities from 1962 through 1971. After adjustment for confounders, a study published in 2006 showed sharpened association between biomarkers of this dioxin and diabetes in the ranch hand veterans, and an increased all-site sear cancer risk in the highest exposure category for TCDD. So here you can pause here and you can read once again. So those people who are working in this deforestation project during this Vietnam War, no, that particular project was named as Operation Ranch. Okay, so the veterans, the military soldiers who were participated in the spread of this particular, they were exposed. So these soldiers, when they go back and be with their family and with their wife, and they get pregnant, the babies, the born to this particular soldiers, they got indirectly they got also exposed to dioxin, and that time it caused teratogenic. And today also those veteran soldiers are having cancer. Cancer risk is high. Cancer risk is there. Okay, so that was with respect to information with respect to TCDD and Agent Orange. Very important topic. One questions with respect to Sivosa disaster. One question with respect to Agent Orange. Okay, chloracne. Such kind of topics, teratogenicity. So such kind of things you will be getting in exam. So definitely read about it. See earlier, like 5 6 years back, if you see, Herbicide, weedicides are also very important topic with respect to DABT exam. So some questions with respect to warfarin or fungicide or weedicide or rodenticide, such questions you will be getting in exam. Okay, all the best for thank you so much. Be curious. For any questions, you can always write a mail to arya.priyanka18 @gmail.com. All the best for your exam.